coming to you from the Elk Ridge Trail in Evergreen, Colorado. Welcome to another edition of A Thirsty Elephant Takes a Hike. Today I was thinking about a realization I had this week. As I've shared in some of my previous videos, one of the limiting programs that I'm constantly battling and trying to fix and work through is my weight and my eating. And I've had my ups and downs with it. And it's been a real issue for me throughout my life, and sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. And recently, since about the first of the year, end of January, some circumstances happened in my life where I, without even trying, over 3 months, lost 12 pounds. It felt really good. It was probably my lowest weight in over 20 years. I was bound and determined to not allow it to happen what's happened to me in the past, where I'll do that and then without paying attention I start to creep up. So one of the things I started to do to catch myself was to weigh myself. And a few years back, for accuracy, I bought one of those beam balanced doctor scales because they're supposedly the most accurate, and I was using that, and interestingly enough, in the last 2 months my weight began to creep back up. So I think I was down to like 192, and then I was at 194 for a while, then 96, 97, 98. And the interesting thing was, my elephant, without my realizing it, was starting to slip back into some of the eating patterns that would put weight on. But what my rider was kind of almost conned into believing by the elephant was that the weight gain was actually due to the fact that I'd begun to do an upper body workout. And I was justifying in my mind, oh, these added few pounds must be additional muscle that I'm building up. And in reality, that wasn't the case. So something interesting happened where that scale just began to not work. I think it had been moved too many times, banged around too much, and it just wasn't working. So I got rid of it, and I ordered this electronic scale that not only weighs you, but also calculates body fat, body mass index, how much water weight you have and all that. Because that's the other thing I would tell myself, is that I was carrying extra water weight, all this justification. But meanwhile, my weight was creeping up. And it really dawned on me that, I've talked in past videos about the need for self-awareness and feedback. And in fact, I just shot an episode of my other blog, The Trusted Leader, around the need for really solid feedback to create self-awareness in people. And what I'm realizing is that feedback can't have any wiggle room, because if it has wiggle room, the elephant's going to use that wiggle room to justify and come up with a story that's going to make us comfortable with reverting back to our old limiting patterns. And that's exactly what happened to me. In that, even though any rational person would know that you're gaining weight because you're eating more, I was able to come up with excuses for it. Like I said, additional muscle I'd put on, some extra water I was carrying. But the interesting thing was, I've had this scale now for probably less than a week. And now that there's a body fat calculation, which doesn't, water weight doesn't affect that. Body fat percentage is the same. And so, and muscle, all that, it comes down to body fat percentage. And so now that there's no wiggle room in the feedback, I've actually lost 3 pounds already. And it was funny because I've been struggling to even maintain. And so it really dawned on me how, when we're trying to change our limiting patterns, our limiting habits, our limiting programs, and we do need to have feedback so that our rider realizes what it's losing out on by staying in the limiting pattern. The trick is that feedback has to be as tight as possible. In other words, we can't give the elephant room to come up with an excuse within that feedback to justify that feedback. And it's just a reminder to me of just to what great lengths our elephants will go to justify slipping back into the old patterns we're trying to break out of. So I just thought I'd share that as a real eye-opener for me. I'd always known the importance of feedback, but never realized how great the elephant would be at wiggling through feedback that gives it a little bit of room to come up with a justification for what it's doing. So thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you in future videos. Take care.